Welcome back to the Mixing Music Podcast. I'm your host, Dee Kei, and with me, as always, is Luscious Lu. And the reason why we're using that nickname is because that was what was literally on your name tag at NAMM.
Yeah, and it actually had a lot of response from the older ladies at NAMM, which was very interesting and cool at the same time. One of my favorite things to remind Anna of every day that I came back from NAMM. She's like, how was NAMM? I'm like, there was more older ladies that kept saying my name very affectionately.
There you go. Luscious Lu.
Just give yourself a fun name next time you go to a convention. See what happens.
So NAMM...
Daddy D.
NAMM, N-A-M-M, hosted their annual NAMM show. Usually it's winter NAMM, but it got pushed back to kind of summer, and they're going to reset it back to, and this year it was spring NAMM, but next year they're going to start to reset it back to the original schedule every year in Anaheim around January.
This year it was also a short NAMM.
Yeah, very short and small NAMM. But anyway, NAMM is a great show. I've been Googling, since we started this podcast. Oh, there it is. NAMM stands for National Association of Music Merchants. So it's basically a huge convention where every single company once a year announces their new products for the year. Mm-hmm. And it used to be mostly for these retailers. It was kind of like a B2B conference. Yeah. Like these providers and retailers and these not hosts, but the what am I thinking of? What word am I thinking of? These platforms, these retailers would go and check out these companies to see what they wanted to start selling in their catalog for that year. Anyway, NAMM is a great place. It's kind of now turned into anybody can go. It's just a big music convention where everybody can check out the new gear for the year. But we went this year, and the cool thing about our story together is that the January 2020 NAMM, right before, it's like a few months before the national lockdown happened, we met. Yep.
I still have the name tag from that one.
You do?
Yeah, it's in my room.
I don't know where mine is. Anyway.
How dare you?
So that actually
was our
a really
anniversary.
big thing. And so we wanted to do an episode of a recap of our experience at NAMM. Well, this year we were actually invited. NAMM reached out to us and said, y'all are influencers within the audio space. Here's some free passes. And they gave us free passes to go and check out NAMM and to talk about it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about it. And guess what? There's a lot of gear out there that I thought was really, really interesting, really cool. Some things that I might get in the near future, even things that we were talking about before this episode recording. And we're going to talk about some things that were fun, some things that were not fun, and some things that we're hopeful about, and events, and etc. Some people that we met and we had a good time as well. NAMM, let's just get right into it, dude. It's all about gear. Anything?
No, it's all about the ear. Just show up to NAMM with that notion. It's like, I don't know why you guys brought all this gear. I just wanted to come for all the ears. Start walking up to people. That's a nice ear, right? You got there.
There you go. Was there any booths or anything that impressed you this year?
I'll say this. I purposely went in because I've been to NAMM 8 years, and not a lot of companies give yearly updates. It's always software that has a yearly update, but hardware doesn't always update every year. So Dangerous Music, who I'm always interested in because I think they make quality stuff, but there wasn't anything new and exciting there. But what I did see is that a lot of companies were coming out that were kind of underdogs, if you will. Their brand name isn't as strong, but they make some really cool gear, like Useful Arts. They make this preamp. They either make it in a single channel desktop style preamp or a dual channel rack mount. But when you drive it, it sounds so good. It's literally just 3 knobs, and it sounds so damn good. And Useful Arts, those that know about Useful Arts know that it's a good brand. But when you look at the branding, and this is no stab at Useful Arts or anything, but you could tell that they didn't really super modernize it or anything
the aesthetic of it.
The aesthetic is a little bit on the on the Sunset
It looks
sound.
like radial products.
Yeah, it almost looks like a radial product but once again, I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm just trying to say, like, honestly speaking, when you look at it, it doesn't look like what it sounds. And that's what's kind of exciting about it. Like, if you look at their preamp, it's actually impressively good. It's really good. And to hear it on the show floor, me and Nareg were just like staring at each other like, I need one of these. Like,
Is it
I have
this $300 one here?
Nope.
The Hornet?
No, it's going to be like $1,300. It's this one. That's the single channel one.
The SFP30 tube microphone preamp.
Yeah. And dude, I kid you not, I haven't wanted a preamp in a long time. And that I want.
It was that good.
It was that good. And you know me, I have API, I have the 1073s, I have like the Audience and the True Systems. And between those four, I'm typically good. And everything else is just kind of like another color. Right. And that's the way we look at preamps after a while. That's why, like, it's kind of hard to get that excited at NAMM every year because, like, you're looking for this one unicorn and you don't know which booth has the unicorn. And this one, preamp wise, was the unicorn for me this year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
As a mixer, I don't really look at preamps.
Dude, you can use it on the two bus.
Yeah.
Line level input, and you can use the color.
There was a new one by, I think it was like Whitestone. Whitestone Audio made the P33 tube loading amplifier.
Oh,
that's the one that Jesse was showing off on his story. He's like, I'm out of the box again. It's this one here. It's a tube loading amplifier. All it is basically like an input knob, so you can drive the tubes, and it's always volume matched.
And it's always volume matched.
It's always volume matched. And in fact, it might get a little bit quieter the more you drive it.
Because of the natural amount of compression that's happening and distortion.
So it's really cool. Yeah. And they have like the regular version, which is a white faceplate, and then they have the evil version, the EVL version, which is it has the black faceplate, which is the one that Jesse looks like it took him home. I took a listen to that.
I'm not gonna lie, the EVL, when I saw it, all I read was evil, and I was like, that's
what
cool.
It is. That's what it stands for. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good, because I like it.
It's because it's typically made for mastering engineers, but mixers and producers wanted one where it's like a lot more obvious.
Yeah.
So they just have the evil version, which is like a lot less subtle. Anyway, the cool thing about that, and the sad thing about it is it was like a cool looking piece of gear, but the problem is that they use these horrible Bear Dynamic headphones. It was just like so harsh. I don't know what they were, but it was just like these horrible headphones. I could not even hear what it was doing. It was like it was just making my ears bleed. So that's unfortunate. You know what I was really into this year was really interesting was the Antelope Audio.
Oh, yeah.
Antelope Audio announced their Gen 4 of the Orion 32 Plus and their new monitor controller. And the new one...
Wait, like new replacing the Satori monitor controller or internal to the Antelope?
Both. So they have the Satori, now the next generation of that, and the controller looks slightly different. And on top of that, they have... where you plug in the interface and then you plug in this monitor controller that controls the Orion and you plug that in via USB into your computer as well. So you don't need an external Satori. If you have an Orion, that is your Satori basically. So
the controller can actually control the interface all the same.
Yeah. So isn't that, I mean, it makes sense.
I like it.
And not only that, Antelope Audio released a pair of monitors.
What?
You didn't see that?
No, I did not.
And I got to look into
there was other things I was paying attention to, like the studio side. Like, I'll be honest, I feel a little bit spoiled with the Strauss because it's hard for me to find a monitor that I want more than the Strauss outside of like the going back to the 45s.
ATCs.
Yeah.
For anyone that is interested. Yeah. It was super cool. I'm looking it up right now.
I checked out the Amphions too.
The new Amphions.
We definitely got to talk about that.
The new Amphion 3-way.
Yeah.
Okay, so hear me out on this. I'm trying to look for the website that explains it, but Antelope Audio introduced a new 3-way, the Atlas i8. It's a new 3-way monitor with the coaxial mid-range right on top of the tweeter. You should look this up. The Antelope Atlas i8. There's something really cool about it. I'm trying to figure out. I've never seen this before. I've never seen it in any other speaker before, but there's the woofer, right? The main 8-inch woofer.
Yeah.
And they said that they can get the same amount of low end as a 12-inch woofer, but what they did instead is they made it an 8-inch woofer, and right behind in the enclosure there's another 8-inch woofer. And something about it where they work together, and they're both like, I don't know what it is. Maybe the second one is high incursion, but there's another woofer in the enclosure, so you don't see it.
Yeah.
And something about them pushing together, or like it's also making low end or something like that. I don't know what it is, but something about having two woofers. I've never seen that done anywhere else. It's in the enclosure. Yeah. I'm trying to find a picture of it. Yeah, I mean, you can see it. Like, there's that's not a very good picture there, but I'm trying to find a video of it. But in the enclosure is like another. There it is. Did you see that? There's another woofer in the enclosure. Super cool. It was really tight. The low mid end, the low mid range would not impress you, but the transients were impressive. It was very, very impressive. Impressive enough where it's like, oh, that would. And I think they're trying. It's not even out yet. They said that we don't even have a price for it. It's so brand new. But they're going to try to keep it around the $45,000 to $5,000 for the pair.
Nice.
Kind of price point. Which, for what it was offering, I thought that was fantastic. And they said that it's going to be rated down to go down to like 37 hertz for like an 8-inch three-way monitor, which is also quite impressive. And it was impressive. The low end was really punchy when I heard it.
The only thing that scares me with speakers that promote low end is usually I find an issue in their mid range.
Yeah, I didn't hear the low mids, but it was also just a really open.
And that's why I can't really test like speakers on a convention floor, which, you know, is sad because, like, you know, there's so much going on. You're in an open field. It's not like a controlled space, and it's also not your own space. You know, like, speakers always sound different from one room to the next. Like, me and Dee Kei have the same NF3s from Strauss, but in our rooms they sound very different. You know, my room being like a very, very dead room, Dee Kei's being a little more open and lively, also being a bigger space than my room. So,
my room. Wait, you're talking about this room?
Yeah, your room is bigger than my room.
Oh, no, I was thinking about it. It's not open, though. I guess more than yours. You have like every square inch dead.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, like, I just went for dead in that room, knowing that it's not my permanent space. I didn't want to invest way too much into like acoustic treatment.
It's safer for sure.
Yeah. Like, I can always take apart those panels and reuse them to build more. But when I had less, because it was a smaller room, it was a lot more reflective. When I had smaller panels, like, it did the job, but it didn't do it too well to where, like, I was really satisfied with the space. But, you know, with that said, the way it sounded before and after with the Strauss, it was very notable even in that.
Oh, here it is. Okay, here's I found it on Gearspace.
Ooh.
We have placed two identical 8-inch woofers, which are sealed in isobaric configuration, one behind another, delivering a powerful, clean, low-frequency response. Thanks to the isobaric design, we have drastically reduced the cabinet size and air volume without sacrificing performance, even when the monitor is pushed to the limits.
Nice.
That's interesting. And there's like, it's super interesting. Also, I want to see more monitors use SonarWorks compatibility, like DSP compatibility.
Yeah, I went to the Atom booth and asked them about that, and they're like,
I didn't do that.
Yeah,
they had a booth.
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
Or I don't know if they had a booth, but I did see monitors, and I asked about them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was one of those, like, you know how ATC doesn't have a booth, but it's their distributor that has a booth.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know if it was that or specifically Atom, but I just asked. I was like, so when did you guys kind of like come up with this idea? They're like, oh, well, it's not that hard to put a DSP chip. I mean, most monitors nowadays have some form of DSP in them. When you're getting into more of the modern ones, like PMC, it wouldn't be hard for them to just add a DSP chip in it. And it's like, that's true. It's just more work. More can go wrong, you know. And they just kind of explained it like that. They're like, we just wanted to try it, and we did it. We liked it, so we produced it.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, outside of that, I was impressed with Tascam this year. And that's going to be a funny one coming from me. I'm not a huge Tascam guy. I'm not big on their products. Not necessarily that they're a bad brand or anything. I'm just like, never really caught my eye that well. Fun fact, my first interface ever was a Tascam. The US 200 back in like 2008, 2009. But that was on my like Sony Vaio laptop with 2 gigs of RAM and like 100 megabyte like hard drive. Like,
dude, my first one really was the Firebox.
The Firebox
from PreSonus.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even mine. It was my best friend's.
Yeah, just let you borrow it kind of thing.
No, we were in the same band and we would do all the recording at his house.
Oh, gotcha.
Their family bought like an iMac for the garage band of it. No, that was afterward. First, we were using Cubase on like a.
Oh, because it came free with PreSonus?
Yeah.
No, and it was funny because, like, when I got to the Tascam booth, I think we were walking next to each other at some point, and you guys left me behind. Jerks. But no, it was funny because I started nerding out with the guy. I was like, wait,
Because you were talking about
live
a console for monitors, and it's like
no for front of house mainly for me. But the funny thing is that I found a console that I actively want. Like for once, like I've used a ton of live sound consoles. Like I have to use an SD12 at this coming concert, the Out Loud. No, what is it? Is it the Out Loud Festival? It's basically like Pride Fest, but James Barr is going to be performing, and I'm going to be doing front of house at the festival. But it was kind of funny because like I'm like, wait, it's 32 inputs, yeah, and you have an onboard recorder that can record directly to the SD card, yeah, and you can recall that same recording and do sound check with it and everything. They're like, yeah, so if I take this to a rehearsal space, let's say that we recorded everything on the analog inputs and everything, and I had to go to a venue and actually say, cool, I need to sound check it here, but the band's not there yet. I can play back these tracks there. They're like, yeah, and then onto those same tracks that I played it back, I can make sure that I can switch the inputs so that now that I'm at the venue and they have a Dante snake, I just connect the one Cat5 cable, map my inputs, and now everything's in the same spot and everything. I just had to match my levels. They're like, yeah. I was like, this is all the things that we normally have to use multiple pieces of gear to do, all in one console.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does up to 64 channels into a single console. And because it's Dante enabled, you can actually use Dante recording devices. Like, let's say you have a Dante license on your laptop. Technically, you could just connect the Ethernet cable to your laptop and do up to 128 channels of recording onto your laptop at the same time that you're splitting the same audio with Monitor World, at the same time that you're splitting it with front of house, and not affect one or the other.
There you go.
It's amazing.
Anyway, there's a lot of cool gear. And then also Tascam was selling like tape decks.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, that's crazy. Anyway, a Mix with the Masters was there. They haven't had a booth at NAMM or AES for the last 3 years because of the Pando.
Yeah, Pando.
The pandemic. And they were there. Lots of great speakers. I saw Tony Maserati. We were talking about this off the air, but we're talking about like buying gear and then sending it off to an assistant to bounce stuff or to do stems or something, and they don't have the gear. What he has an unfair child, and he says that he hands it off to an assistant who has the UAD version, so he just replaces the hardware for the UAD version, so he knows that when he gets it back to bounce it, he's going to turn off the UAD version and just do it through the real gear or something like that.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Also, Chad Blake, Jason Joshua, Mixed by Ali, all the greats, Tizio, Baines. They did not do Mix with the Masters, but they were there at the Engine Ears booth. We talk about them a lot because they're like, dude, Tizio's killing it right now.
He really is. I'm proud of him.
The next Coil Array stuff is all him.
Yeah.
Dude, he's hitting his stride. Like I don't want to like knock on wood here, but like he within the last 2 years went from being like Chris Brown's engineer, which is cool for being known as like one person's engineer, to being like Jack Harlow, Coil Ray,
Chris Brown,
Lil Nas X. Like in 2 years, like his career has blossomed. And it's so crazy because I feel like he just has so much more to go to.
He will. I think knowing him, he will.
Yeah, I think he is absolutely just hitting his stride right now. And it was good to see him again. What else did we see? Avid was there.
Yep. Amphion, like I said, those three-way monitors that they came out with, low and low mid transient design on that was really nice design response.
Few new microphone companies. But let's talk about, there's a lot of cool gear, and I'm sure that we'll talk about more during this episode, but I want to talk about the importance of things like NAMM and AES.
Oh, yeah.
If you are looking to develop your career and want an easy place to network, start going to these events. It's great if you can afford going to LA for NAMM, going to New York for AES, going to Nashville. I wonder if they're going to start doing a Nashville NAMM.
They did.
Yeah, did they since the pandemic?
Before.
No, I'm saying ever since the pandemic. Did they stop?
Ever since. I don't
think they've done one since the pandemic started.
I don't know. I'd never looked into it. I'll be honest.
I don't think they have.
I don't know.
Because I want to go to Nashville, make an excuse to go check out the Nashville. But the reason why this is important, I mean, Lou and I met there, and I think that's enough of a reason to why you go out. It's great for networking.
Yeah.
It's a great place to meet and it's cool because Stevie Wonder goes every single year. Like, you
know how many times I see people like, oh my God, I saw Stevie Wonder in the wild.
We saw DJ Jazzy Jeff as well. Like, there's these things that happen all the time. And these people show up because of because it's a place where it's like people aren't fans there. I mean, they're fans there, but like they're not going to get overcrowded.
Exactly.
So it's like a little bit more accessible. It's a little bit more private because it's for the industry.
Yeah, and almost everybody you meet there is somebody. So a good example is like my friend Skimmy, who's he's currently doing some work with like some pretty big artists. I don't want to say him because I don't want to jinx any situations, but Skimmy is also working with another company where they're actually doing like a lot of sound design and music for different opportunities, and they had their own booth there. And the funny thing is, most people, if they just met Skimmy real quick, they wouldn't know who he is, what he does, but unless he says something. Well, at NAMM, that's kind of the situation for everybody. You know, if nobody, a good example is this: most people recognize like Dee Kei, but not everybody knew who I was, and that's kind of cool because that kind of left me to just kind of enjoy the convention, and that's kind of the cool thing. Like, a lot of people at NAMM just kind of want to go meet, do the work that they're maybe hired to do or not, but they just kind of want to enjoy themselves. So being surrounded by other professionals in the industry, there's kind of this included notion with everybody where it's like, hey, don't fan out when you see people. Like, you want to work with these people. You want to be seen as professionals. So they actually kind of enjoy their experience more at these kind of things than like, a concert where everybody's like screaming and trying to tackle them.
Yeah, it's a really great place to meet people, honestly, and kind of be seen as equals. And it's great to get some knowledge. Dave Pensato always has a booth. Sorry, I have my son with me. But there's always a booth where, like, even this last time. Oh my gosh, live from the studio. Kyo, you want to say something? What did you think about Daddy being gone at NAMM?
I agree.
You were sad? Oh, you want a hug? Anyway, sorry, but it's a really great place to meet people and to honestly find a mentor as well. Talk to people that you look up to, that you love their records of.
Yeah, it's
a great place. And you know what? This is once. There's only like 2 or 3 times a year that engineers can feel like superstars, and they love. Everybody has a little bit of an ego, so they love answering questions, man. They love meeting their fans.
I thought something that was cool was the Pensato's place. What is it? Mentor Madness. Mentor Madness, where basically everybody that went to the thing had to get into a line with whoever they wanted to talk to. There was everybody from Battle Cat, which was kind of cool to see. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool to see your clients on the stage and like your friends on the stage. And those friends being like Jesse Baines, Tizio,
Yeah.
like.
It's A&R of Harmon was there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Baines and Tizia.
Yeah.
Jesse was there.
Yeah.
Howie Weinberg.
Yeah. Dave Pensato himself stayed on it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And it was kind of cool to just kind of see, like, everybody that went and attended could get into any line. And once it came to your turn, you had 3 minutes to ask any question you want. They would answer it for those 3 minutes. And then you moved on. And that gave everybody almost an equal and open opportunity to get some questions across. Like, if you didn't wait in the longest line, you could get a ton of questions through. If you wait in the longest line, you maybe got a few questions.
Who's that big drummer, the big punk drummer that's really popular right now?
Travis Barker.
Yeah, Travis Barker's engineer was there as well. Yeah. There was the engineer for a bunch of people.
Which I'm not going to lie, I almost wanted to look at my phone while we were there. I'm like, is his engineer the guitarist for... Escape the Fate, but I was like, I could be wrong. But like they at least in person they bore a striking resemblance. I was like, I know this guy actually knows how to engineer. I know he knows what he's doing. He's a really dope producer as well. So I was like, maybe it is the same guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of it for the NAMM recap. It was a wonderful. It was a little smaller this year. Autotune wasn't there. Isotope wasn't there. Golf Falls wasn't there.
I'm sad Autotune wasn't there.
Yeah, and I talked to Henrik, who said that they will be there for the January one when they reset back to Winter NAMM. Apparently, this next one is going to be the biggest one they do in a while.
Good.
Hopefully, the biggest one. And there's a lot of people there. And again, one more time, we encourage anybody, if you live in New York, then go to AES at the very least. If you live in LA or near LA or willing to drive to LA, come to the NAMM. Same thing with Nashville, or fly out. It's really worth it.
Yeah,
it's really worth it. I mean, you get to see, if you're a fan of Chris Lord-Alge or even Andrew Sheps, like they're just casually walking around. Andrew Sheps always has a beer at like 10 a.m. in the morning at NAMM, 11 a.m. And you can just walk up to him and ask him questions.
I didn't tell you, but I actually rode the escalator with CLA. And like part of me reverted to my lesson that I teach everybody, which is like, don't bother people. And I literally was like, our exact distance right now away from him, and I was like, I could say hi and just introduce myself, but he looks like he's in a rush. I'm like, I'm just gonna leave him alone versus having him feel like he's like gonna have to like excuse himself.
Yeah. But I mean, if you are going to bother someone, it would be better to bother them at NAMM than in the middle of a session.
While an escalator ride.
Yeah. So I think it's just a really great place to. And then I remember the first time I went, January 2020, I didn't know anybody.
Really?
I did not know you. I came to know you and met maybe like one or two friends. Yeah. I mean, this year and the year before even, and I'm even more so next year, it's like, dude, I cannot get to anywhere I want to go because people keep stopping me.
So remember when we were trying to grab coffee and I was like, fuck, I keep running into people. In one little corner, I ran into like 4 people. I'm like, guys, I'm really sorry. I'm not trying to cut this short, but I really got to get some coffee.
And the reason why, and the reason I was there, and the reason why I bring this up is not to flex, but rather this is what happens over time. You start to meet more and more people.
Yeah.
And over time, you just get to see them again and again and again. And your circle of influence grows. Your sphere of influence grows. Your sphere of influence grows. And so does your network. And this is only partially true. I won't go in a rant about it, but your network is your net worth, man. And,
it really is, actually. Like, funny enough, like, for instance, whenever let's say you go to NAMM and you have a very influential friend. We won't use names because we don't want to say anybody in specific, but let's just say you have friends that have a little more influence and you're caught in the wild hanging out with them, just having a casual conversation. People just assume that that's kind of your role in this society of engineers. Like, wow, he's even friends with so-and-so. That's your network, but it may not be your actual net worth. But funny enough, perception in the wild is a powerful thing. Yeah. Funny enough, like one of the things that I thought was cool about NAMM is sometimes meeting people you've never met before that you've known for a while. For instance, my friend Dom, who we do a lot of work together. I've done like a lot of mixing and mastering from him, like a lot, but we've never actually met each other in person. And, originally when I got word of him is through word of mouth, and then we did some work on Sound Better and all that kind of stuff. But when we were at the Pensado seminar, like he just kind of turned around, looked at me. He's like, Lou? I was like, yo, because I looked at his tag. I'm like, Dom, produced by Dom. I'm like, wait a minute. And like, that was the first time in years. Like, we've known each other for years, and we met for the first time in person just out of random. We didn't know that both of us were going to go. But once again, if you're from New York, fly out to LA, fly out to Nashville, like go to these events. You don't know who you're going to run into. You might have been trying to connect with somebody in person because they might fly into town, into your town once in a while, but they might be going to NAMM too. That might be a great opportunity to just get some 5-minute face-to-face time with somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of it for this episode. Just the value of networking, getting out to these conferences.
Yeah.
These products, man. These companies are coming out with cool products. At the same time, as much as these, I think there's like so many cool, useful products, and then there's a lot of just like cool. This would be nice to have products, but I mean, I'm always a big fan of, especially if you're trying to go full time. Just remember that if it doesn't speed up your workflow or make work faster, then wait till you start earning a lot more money to buy it.
Yeah.
So if you're not making a lot of money, don't buy things that'll, like a lot of analog gear will just slow down and make less dollars per hour, and that just makes it a little bit more tough. Don't spend money, don't lose money to make less money. So. Anyway, other than that, there's a lot of really cool pieces out there. There's a lot of innovation going on. I was actually, again, especially excited with Antelope.
They
did. They got me stoked this year. I thought it was such a cool thing. It's just like a cool thing, and I know that they've had some bad PR in the United States in the past. And anyway, just a lot of cool companies here. And then there's like companies that don't do anything new. Like Avid. No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing.
iLock?
No, iLock. There you go. No, they come out with a new USB.
Yeah.
And then I was like, can I buy an iLock? They're like, we're not allowed to sell it at this booth. And I'm like, BS, come on, just give me one.
Yeah.
They didn't give it to me. They didn't give me any. It's all right.
Wait, they didn't give you a colorful one?
Nah. Did you get one?
Not this year. Last year I got a pink one. I was going for purple this year, and I couldn't find anybody with the purple one. Yeah.
Anyway,
like usually you gotta ask a representative, and if you find them away from the booth, they're usually a lot more like, "Yeah, here you go."
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you go straight up to the booth and be like, "Can I have a free iLok?" They're like, "Oh, I mean, we only have so many."
Yeah, okay, that's the secret.
Yeah.
That's the secret. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We wish you oh, wait, before we end, this episode has been brought to you by the exclusive episodes of the Mixing Music Podcast. Go to mixingmusicpodcast.com/exclusive for $4 a month or $40 a year. For the price of 1 cup of coffee or less, you can get 3 times the amount of episodes of me and Braden talking. It's really great content. We recommend you check that out. One more time, that's mixingmusicpodcast.com/exclusive. And on that note, happy mixing, my friends, and stay saucy.